where we are going always reflects where we came from. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, you're gonna be able to hear it, right?
No.
I really love the Tigrutan design. I mean, Varys's race as well, I find is really, really pretty. Like, it's just really cool, all the different designs they came up with. I'm not that creative. I try to be as creative as possible, but they're like, it just blows me out of the water, like,
Yeah.
how many distinctly different designs they have.
It honestly makes me wish that we got more alien characters front and center in, like, the movies and the shows. Like,
I can kind of understand why not, because, like, the movies in particular are live action, and so it's kind of harder.
It's harder to do if you're going for more practical effects.
Yeah.
But Infinity War and Endgame, they had Thanos, and the CGI on that guy was absolutely stunning.
Yes, it was.
And it's not like they haven't been able to pull off some great stuff with CGI before. Like in Rogue One, it was a little clunky, but for the most part, they did a really good job with recreating, like, Tarkin's character and Leia's face and everything. And in the finale of The Mandalorian, I won't give any spoilers away, but they incorporated some brilliant CGI in that episode. I was really impressed. So yeah, like, it's not like they can't pull it off. It's just that they won't.
Yeah. No. And again, it comes down to human psychology. We relate better to characters that look like us. I mean, I think that is kind of changing a little bit, but I think it's just instinctual, right? You see another human and you're like, this is a creature that looks like me.
Yeah.
And so I can relate to them easier than something that looks like the Zygarian or the robot.
Well, he's a villain, so I don't even want to be.
He's a villain too, but I can relate to him better than I can relate to him. I mean, they have human faces, so I mean that does make a big difference.
They're all humanoid.
Not all of them. Those, like,
that's true.
the guys who just talk by, like, clicking and clacking and.
I'm thinking of Admiral Trench.
Yeah,
Spider guy.
Too.
Yeah,
Not humanoid.
No.
Count Dooku's face always makes me laugh.
Yes,
Always.
because it's just so
like so angry all the time.
Yes.
Think of our presence as a peaceful occupation.
Yes. Peaceful occupation.
See, the thing that bothers me about this is, again, on the one hand, the show is trying to be like, it's more of a gray thing than a black and white thing, but they still have the very obvious separatists bad, Republic good.
But at the same time, like, they were trying to humanize the separatists more in the case of, like, Mina Bonteri and Lux Bonteri.
Yeah.
And it's like, more whiplash! This show doesn't know what it's going for. It honestly had, like, about as much planning as the sequels. And people are like, oh, the sequels suck, but this show was amazing. It's literally the same thing!
They want the simplicity of the black and white, but they know their viewers, especially their older viewers, want more complexity. And so they're trying to do this, like, weird balancing act of, we want something that's easy to write and is simple black and white, but we have to pretend that it's more complex than that so that our older viewers are, like, you know, more interested. That's the way I kind of see it. And so, yeah, like everything else, it just plagues the show with inconsistency and lack of direction or planning or anything like that. The other thing we were going to mention is those owls.
Yes. Are they owls?
I don't know.
They kind of remind me of lovebirds.
Me of owls.
But they look nothing like lovebirds.
They're love
I just
owls.
think they're love owls because they are lovable. They honestly are just so adorable.
I do love their design. They're very cute and cuddly, and The first time we watched this, we were talking about how they're the kind of bird that Ahsoka gets in Rebels.
Yeah.
Even though there's like no connection between her and these things other than that they're birds that live on the planet where the Togrutan settlement is. And so it doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's an attempt to connect her to her Togrutan race, but this episode kind of shows that she doesn't really care about the fact that she's a Togrutan. She's like, I'm a Jedi, that's who I am, that's what I am.
She has zero connection to them.
Yeah, and so the whole bird thing.
Not to mention bringing that bird in during Rebels. First of all, it served absolutely no purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they set it up was it somehow latched onto her when the daughter breathed life into her.
Right, because
but
the
you
daughter
don't
has
see
one
that
of those
owl
too.
in this show. It doesn't show up till Rebels.
Didn't the daughter have?
Nope.
No, it's not. Oh.
Nope.
I thought she did. But now that
Nope.
I think about it, I think you're right.
Filoni just pulled it out of thin air. Hashtag retcon Filoni.
I think the other thing we were talking about is that literally we just finished an arc on the horrors of war, and it goes straight into an arc about slavery.
Yep. This is not a kid's show.
Not a kid's show. Again, you can handle deep topics in a kid's, like, in a show or movie or whatever directed at kids, but they don't handle it in that way.
No.
It's just really dark and really gritty. It's not age appropriate for the rating of the show. But at the same time, it's also not dark and gritty enough for the older audiences.
Yeah.
Even these episodes, like, as a teenager, I mean, watching this, would you be like, oh, slavery is terrible, I've never heard of slavery before, and this is like really helping me understand what a problem this is.
A teenager growing up during these times would already be better acquainted with that subject than this show could ever make them.
Exactly. So it's not handled well for younger audiences. It's not handled well for like teenage audiences, and it's not handled well for adult audiences. It's just kind of a clump of something. Badness.
I haven't seen any colonists.
And the first time we watched it, we pointed out that Ahsoka doesn't refer to them as my people for the entire episode.
Right up until the end.
Where
she has the most BS line ever.
But she just called them the colonists.
Yes, the colonists.
It's just a very disassociated term.
Yeah. Like, you get more emotion from Anakin in this episode than you do from Ahsoka, because he relates to it because he was a slave.
Yes.
And he takes it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about this too, the whole ridiculous over-the-top stunts from Ahsoka is just blatant showboating, just shoving her in the audience's face. Wow, look how cool she is!
Cool.
Whoa.
Yay. Because in these scenes you don't see Obi-Wan or Anakin standing up in their thing and jumping around and using their lightsaber to flip here and there. But it's all her.
Like that scene where she gets up behind the droid and like slices his throat. Like, what the heck is that?
I don't even know. It's completely unnecessary.
Completely.
She could just reach out and go boink. But no, she jumps behind it, literally slits its throat, and then jumps back. And it's like it's being purposely violent just so that she can look cool.
But she's the one always preaching against violence, right?
Yeah.
Oh my
Not the
goodness.
Jedi way.
You're being violent. Stop that. I'm so much better than you. But yeah, the whole showboating of her character, it's brainwashing. It boils down to brainwashing. Yep, so unnecessary. Just like her whole character.
Because, yeah, throughout that entire sequence, Obi-Wan and Anakin literally did nothing but drive.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka's all like, foom, 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 jumping over here, killing that, throwing things in there. It's like, you have 3 Jedi. Make use of 3 Jedi.
Yeah.
If you want cool Jedi-looking stuff, use all 3 Jedi.
Yeah.
Master Kenobi, come to the tower.
The tower, Rapunzel,
Let down your hair!
Zygerian scum.
Ooh, he's mad.
I'll handle that slaver.
The face.
Look! Oh! She's like, what's your problem? She does it so freaking much throughout the entire show. Constantly judging him, looking down on him. What's your problem?
Well,
What's your problem?
literally, listen to how she asks Obi-Wan.
Why is he so upset?
The tone
It's
says
everything.
everything. The phrasing, all of it. So disrespectful, so insensitive. Such a bitch.
Yeah. And then, again, listen to Obi-Wan's response and how she reacts.
Anakin has never talked about his past, has he?
Only to tell me he won't talk about it.
As a child, Anakin and his mother were sold into slavery by the Hutt clans.
Oh,
Anakin has struggled to put his past behind him.
don't worry. I'll keep an eye on him.
Excuse me? Not your place.
Yeah. And we talked about how if she had been like, I'll make sure to support him, I'm glad I understand now, anything like that, it would have been fine. But instead she's like, oh, I'll keep an eye on him, don't you worry. You know, because, and again, it's just this condescending attitude toward Anakin that he can't do his job without her looking out for him.
Babysitting him. basically.
Babysitting him, because obviously he can't handle this because
Obviously.
he's too attached to his past.
I'm sorry, who again is the master and the Padawan? Oh, yeah.
And then she never talks to him about it. She never goes and talks to Anakin about it.
Never, not up
It's just like, oh, I'm gonna ask Obi-Wan what's the matter with him, and then I'm gonna get all trite, and I'm never gonna talk to Anakin about it. They're kind of implying that she's asked him about it, but it's kind of like,
show versus tell.
again,
They do so much telling in this show, and then what they do show us, they tell us the opposite.
mhm.
That's not how
And-
you write.
No, it's not. But it's also because they don't show it, then people can speculate, oh, she was being really sensitive and like just interested in him as a person when she asked, when the reality is that given everything they show us about her character, she was probably just prying into his past without his permission, without it being relevant to what was going on, and etc., etc. And if I was him, I would probably say, I'm sorry, that's none of your business, too.
Yeah, no kidding.
And so, yeah, and I mean, even the way she says it, like, only to tell me you won't talk about it, like, she's upset about it, rather than like, yes, this is his life, his personal information. He's not obligated to share it with me. Like, she's mad that he didn't share his personal information with her. You are never entitled to someone else's personal information.
And that's the whole attitude that she carries. Like,
Yes.
she's owed this. Whatever she wants,
She's
is owed it. And that's what we get from the fans who worship her up and down.
Yeah, that she deserves it. And it's like, no, nobody deserves to have other people, like, treat them like they're a goddess.
Exactly.
Except me. I'm sorry. I can't resist. Just like, treat me as a goddess. I love Obi-Wan in this episode.
Yes.
I have them right where I want them.
Do tell.
The entrance, man! The entrance!
We had to watch it
Yes,
over again
yes.
last time too.
I have them right where I want them.
Do tell.
It's kind of funny though, because this guy is all like, I have them right where I want them. And then Obi-Wan comes in and is like, do tell. It's like, how the heck did you hear that? Dude, you were beneath the floor! I almost like half expect him, like when he's getting ready to do his do tell line, I have to expect him to say, hello there. All the buildings
are shaped like their horns.
Togrutan horns.
And we were talking about how weird it would be to
have
the
a
human
house shaped
equivalent,
like your head.
just the top of your head.
A hat would be cool, but a head, not so much.
There you go.
It is unfortunate you and I cannot resolve our differences as you do in the Zygerian tradition.
This is where it's important to know your enemy.
There you go.
And if I win, I'll deliver you to Dooku in a cage.
Bro, personal space. Look at how close it. Back up!
6 feet. my
6
friend.
feet, man!
6 feet.
Put on your mask! Proper social distancing!
We talked about this the first time watching it, how Obi-Wan takes a beating to stall for time so that Anakin and Ahsoka can track down and disarm the bombs. And that is just boss.
Yeah.
Like, I love Obi-Wan.
You would never
so much.
see Ahsoka do anything like that.
No.
Because she doesn't believe in self-sacrifice. She believes in sacrificing others for herself,
Yes.
but not self-sacrifice.
And even in the episode where she and Barriss, are sacrificing themselves, then she shows that she doesn't want to sacrifice herself.
Yeah.
Because Barriss is like, well, we're dying, but it's worth it because of all the people we saved. And Ahsoka very clearly avoids agreeing with her. She literally looks at Barriss and is kind of like, not if I can help it, like. And it's like, it's obvious she doesn't agree with Barriss. She does not think that saving other people is worth it if she loses her life.
Yeah.
In the process.
In Buffy the Vampire Slayer, there was an episode where Buffy was prophesied to if she went into a fight, she would most certainly die. So when she heard that, she got really upset. And she straight up broke down and started crying. She's like, I'm 16, I don't want to die. So she's like, I quit. But she, like, literally just maybe an hour later, she comes back and she's like, no, I'm gonna do this because it's what's right.
Yeah.
And you don't see that from Ahsoka. Ever.
No.
Ever.
There must be a wire we should cut.
This is a fun scene where Ahsoka's like a bomb tech expert and not a bomb tech expert at the same time.
I don't know, if that was me in that situation, I wouldn't touch it at all because I know nothing about bombs. But yeah, like she's immediately like,
she's like, oh, I gotta take
and
this
then she's like, oh yeah, I don't know anything about bombs.
Well, no, she looks around. There must be a wire we should cut, or something to stop the countdown.
Even I would know that from watching movies. There's always a wire that you have to cut. Sabers disable bombs. How does this work?
I don't even know how that works. So it's kind of, that entire scene is kind of dumb.
Yeah, but it was an educated guess. Now come on, there's plenty more to go.
What is there to roll your eyes at?
I guess
we have more work to do. Ugh.
I think she's supposed to be rolling her eyes at the comment about, oh, it was an educated guess. But even that is kind of like, why are you rolling your eyes at him?
She breathes disrespect. Disrespect is her middle name. It's Ahsoka Disrespect Tano.
Still,
this hurts my soul.
It does. Like, and again, he's allowing this to happen to himself.
What problem?
Our spotters are tracking 2 enemy wanderers moving through.
Oh, my bad.
I love that. It's just like, oh shoot, he can't figure out what's going on. Smash. And it goes to show how much in control he really is of the situation.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh shoot, he can't know that. All of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, smoosh or smash.
Yep.
Like, just immediately starts fighting back and is able to successfully do so.
Master, I think the bombs are linked.
Okay, why does she take the thing off? Again, she saw how he disarmed it last time, but she still goes through the, oh, better take this thing off and look inside. Like, and I mean, technically it's a good thing that she did because then she realized they were linked. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense. I feel like the kind of like subplot idea of them like doing these, you know, bomb disarming thing, you know, hunting them down and disarming them, I think that's a cool idea. I just feel like it wasn't executed as well as it could have been.
Sniper! The shields are too strong! I'm pinned down! We're running out of time!
They're weak from the side. I've got an angle on your droid.
I've got a view of yours too. Same time. Ready?
Who figures it out and then
And she immediately takes charge.
yeah.
And yeah, she's constantly doing that. Like, it's almost, she's taking credit. Well, she does take credit
Yes.
for everyone else's hard work. So if, yeah, in this case, he figures something out, and she
And she
immediately
wasn't
takes
even
charge.
looking for ideas. She was just like, oh no. And he's like, okay, gotta figure something out. Okay, well, let's take a look over here and see what I can see. She just didn't do anything. So it's, and I can't really think off the top of my head of a moment where she is like problem solving.
Yeah, I don't think she ever does that.
And I mean, like, she definitely comes up with ideas and stuff like that, but it's instantaneous. She never problem solves. Like, she just immediately has a good idea and it works flawlessly. There's never a moment of, okay, something's not working, we gotta do something. I'm going to take another look at the situation from a different angle and come up with an idea to handle the situation. It's Anakin who tells her to come up with, like, tells her, okay, I'm doing this, you gotta figure out how to do this part of the plan. And then she comes up with an idea and it's perfect, right? But she's not the one who figures out how to resolve the issue.
Yeah, no, it's usually the mess that she creates that they need to be dealing with. Mm-hmm. So basically her best form of problem solving is here, I'll release this dangerous Sith Lord on the thousands of clones that I don't want to hurt. And when he causes our ship to crash into a moon and kill everyone, I will not take responsibility for it. Wasn't me. I care about the clone, yeah.
Sir, you have an urgent transmission.
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
They're so polite.
I know. Here, it didn't work the first time. I'll try a couple hundred more times.
It certainly took him long enough this time.
So we're just like,
I know. Oh.
Well, shall we discuss your surrender? Again.
I think we talked about last time how Obi-Wan's sass is right on the nose. Mm-hmm. It's perfect. But Ahsoka cannot be described as sassy, or at least not in a good way. Because listening to Ashley Eckstein to describe her, it's just so wrong, because she's like, oh, Anakin, like, talks down to her, but she doesn't take it from him. She gives it back. It's like, are you, what character are you talking about? That's not Ahsoka.
I would say she disrespects Anakin in situations where he's not talking down to her. Because I will admit, there are scenes where he's less than respectful toward her.
Yeah, definitely.
But even even when he's not being like that, she's being disrespectful toward him. This episode is a perfect example. He was upset because this situation is very triggering for him, and she's completely disrespectful toward him about that. And he wasn't being at all condescending toward her. He wasn't even talking to her. So I would not call Ahsoka sassy. She's just disrespectful. Obi-Wan is like the sass king.
Yes.
I just love Obi-Wan's sass.
And in Obi-Wan's case, he always gives credit where credit is due. Like, you'd never see him disrespecting Yoda.
Yeah.
But he's sassy to Dooku and to this guy, and yeah. So it's so good.
Sir, how could you?
I guess.
No.
Toto all over again.
Why do you have to bring back the horrible memories?
Get it off. Get it off.
Toto did the exact same thing right
Yes.
before he died. And it's like, it's so heartbreaking.
We'll never catch him in time.
Thanks for your optimism. She does that all the time too, come to think of it.
she doubts
where-
him all the time.
All the time. If he's trying to accomplish something, it's like, oh no, you'll never pull it off.
You can't. Like, literally, in Storm Over Ryloth, she tells him over and over and over, you can't. And it's like, on the one hand, you could be lenient toward her because she just, like, she's feeling down because of what she did, how she messed up. But it's like, yeah, I still don't, I can't give her a pass for that. Putting down somebody else because you're feeling down, that's not okay.
Definitely not something you'd want in a supposed role model.
Yes.
So, what's your plan?
I'm open to ideas.
Here's another thing. Anakin is open to other ideas.
And
So
she offers nothing.
nothing. But she also never asks for input either.
Yes.
Never, at any point in the show. She doesn't ask for anyone else's ideas or opinions, thoughts, anything. She will always immediately be like, no, I'm in charge. Listen to me.
Hold on!
Yeah, the first time we watched this, I was saying how this creature reminds me of the mini-boss in Lore Jabba Jabba in
Ocarina of
Legend
Time.
of Zelda Ocarina of Time. We were talking about how annoying that mini-boss is.
I know. Just like you have to find that perfect sweet spot where you're not getting impaled on spikes and you're not falling too far behind so that you get eaten.
Or even that, like, you just go slow enough that you never catch him. Because you do eventually have to catch him, because otherwise your thumb just dies.
Exactly, just go around.
It hurts so much after a while, because you're, like, so tense.
I don't know why they didn't make that guy the boss. Because he's way harder than,
Like, actually defeating him is easy, but the process of defeating him is so much harder than the process.
Honestly, like that's the worst thing about video games. Grinding. If there's any point in a game where you have to grind, it's just so tedious. Why do people do that?
Young Jedi, you'll learn your place.
I'm not so young anymore.
Yes, you
are! Yeah, we said she's like 15 at this point. That is still young.
Yeah, that is still very young.
And she's still a Padawan. So in terms of being a Jedi, she is a young Jedi. It's just her arrogance. Again, this is another example of her arrogance.
Gotcha.
And this is BS. They don't show the fight because it's BS. They just show the end of the fight, and it is still BS.
Anyway, I was saying this goes back to what we said in our writing analysis series, where if you don't want to be treated like a child, don't act like a child. And she does. She's such a child.
And I really
about everything.
Really hate this scene where they give her this victory. Like, we saw him fight Obi-Wan, and yes, Obi-Wan was letting him have the upper hand, but he's still a very tough opponent.
Yeah.
And the fact that she just lickety-split.
So OP. You want to complain about any character being OP? Complain about Ahsoka. Because I think I've also said before though, like, she's just useless enough that you can't call her OP, and she's just OP enough that you can't call her useless.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I almost wonder, was that calculated on the part of the writers?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because...
And don't even add as, oh, she earned it. She doesn't. She's way too powerful for a Padawan. It makes no sense. And just because Anakin is her trainer doesn't mean jack squat. You don't learn by osmosis. It just because, like, I could go get lessons from the Philharmonic Orchestra, and I would still suck at playing an instrument.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how good the person teaching you is.
Yeah, it all comes down to
It's not going to make you magically the best.
Yeah. I actually heard this one suggestion. It would have been better if Ahsoka had been like a character in Luke's New Order, because then her powers would have been better explained as the Force kind of rebalancing itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's part of how Rey's powers were explained too, is the Force rebalancing itself, the light and the dark. So, yeah, I feel like if Ahsoka, we'd been introduced to Ahsoka as an adult right off the bat, she would have been a much better character. Because in Rebels, I find she's considerably more tolerable than she is in this show.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if The Mandalorian, if I could look at it by itself, like if I hadn't seen Ahsoka in anything before The Mandalorian, I would have thought, hey, this is an interesting character. I'd be down with seeing more of her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll check out that show. But because she was first introduced in this show as she is,
yeah,
it's like, no,
that's not Ahsoka.
That's not Ahsoka. And like, even in Rebels, there is one scene that still reinforces just how self-centered she is.
I still have to see Rebels.
Yeah, so I won't spoil anything.
Okay.
Because we will be doing our Rebels reaction series after we finish TCW.
There you go.
So
much Star Wars.
Where are they?
Master.
So, this scene here, she knows why the Zygerian slavers are so triggering to Anakin. And granted, Anakin is being a little over the top here, but she's scolding him.
As in the days before the Jedi.
And then she's glaring.
Yeah, and then she's all like, oh, you're a bad person.
We'll see about that.
What is that? She's all about revenge too, because her whole conversation with Barriss at the end of season 5, she's preaching how, oh, you have to get your emotions under control and everything. And at the end of that conversation, she's like, that woman's gonna pay. She's gonna pay for what she did. Wow.
Okay.
What was that whole speech you just gave about revenge being bad? And she does it too in the Padawan Lost arc, where she gets captured by the Trandoshans. She gives Khalifa this whole speech, don't kill out of revenge. And she was right, that Khalifa was trying to kill out of revenge. Though I'd argue it would have been necessary for their escape.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of that arc, she goes out of her way to fight Garnak for what? Revenge? Yeah,
And
revenge.
he ends up dying because of
Yep, he ends up dying because of it.
Yep.
So she killed out of revenge. Boom.
Yep. And anyways, like, I think I said the first time around that, like, if they had a better established relationship, and instead of being like, master, she was just like, master? Like, just kind of like trying to remind him, like, you know, just calling your name to remind you to regain control of yourself, right? Like, if it's been established that she respects him, I'd have no problem with her doing that in that situation. But because they've established a lack of respect and her tone is scolding him, it pisses me off.
Yep.
But it gets better. Her
You're
best
sure.
line is coming.
Oh
up.
yeah.
Vanished? That's impossible. Those are my people.
What sense does that make?
It makes no sense. Just because they're your people doesn't mean they can't vanish.
Doesn't mean nothing bad can ever happen to them.
And
they're
all of
not
a sudden-
all OP like you.
And all of a sudden, after calling them colonists, now she's like, they're my people.
Really?
What? Really? Okay.
Okay.
Like, she's shown little to no personal attachment through this entire episode. And now all of a sudden, oh, those are my people.
Nothing bad could ever happen to them because
It's
they're
impossible.
my people.
My people.
What? Question mark?
Find the colonists. You must. In great danger they are.
No, they can't be in danger because they're Ahsoka's people.
Oh, Ahsoka, how I hate thee. Let me count the ways.
We'd be here forever.
Well, we've already made like a how many hour dissection of her every appearance.
But
so...
that doesn't even cover everything.
No, it's literally just listing it. It's not even like explaining why every single... And that's part of the reason why we want to finish this reaction series, even though we've like already said that we hate Ahsoka, is because now every time she shows up we can go into detail of why it's bad. And then in our analysis series we're working on fixing her, talking about like actual fixes that would say. So there's kind of like, you know, in our argument against Ahsoka, we just list all her problems. In the reaction series, we go into detailing why they're problematic, and then in the analysis series, we're working on fixing them.
Yes.
Because it takes so much time to talk about each one of those aspects. And that's why we're punishing ourselves with this. Oh, I'm gonna be 80 years old and we're still going to be talking about Ahsoka. Just, especially the more power Filoni gets in writing Star Wars content, because he just shoves her in everywhere and we're never going to be done with it.
Never.
I'm going to cry.
I'm so not watching the Ahsoka show.
No.
I'm kind of mad that they made the sequel to Rebels about her instead of Ezra, because that was Ezra's story. And now it's Ahsoka. Like, what? Where does that come from? So I'm so not watching that show.
No.
I'll find out what happens to Ezra through reviews, if I can stomach the reviews.
No, because all the reviews are going to be Ahsoka's so wonderful, best Jedi ever, strong female character, woot woot. You just go into the comment section of any pro Ahsoka video, and literally the comments there are just so literally worshipful that it makes me sick. Like, it's not even just oh, I really like Ahsoka, she, you know, I think she's a great character. It's literally worshipful. And I think we even say that, like, the way people...
They relate to her so much.
Yes.
That they can't separate themselves from a fictional character. And that's honestly so unhealthy.
Yeah, and that's why people get so upset when we criticize her. Because they take it personally, as if we're attacking them.
Yeah.
Rather than attacking a fictional character because she's badly written. And yeah, so people just literally lose their minds, and it's part of the reason that we make such a big deal about it, is because it's so unhealthy. And we are just trying to point out that she's not a good character to relate to. She's not a good character to worship. And we just trying really hard to like gently tell people the truth, but we get a little passionate about it because we're really annoyed with it.
And it's like even the people who like Ethan, who complains like, oh, you've already said what you need to say, you don't like her, move on. But because there is so few people talking about this,
we really have to harp on it.
Yeah.
To cover everything, because like there's a lot of other topics where a person makes one video focusing on one aspect of it, but that's okay because like 200 other people have all made, 3 videos each covering all the other different aspects, and so you only really need to talk about it once and kind of cover your opinion of it and you're done. But because we're like the only people saying this that we can find, then we have to cover every single aspect of it ourselves.
Except for literally one other person, Carolus Magnus. We're the only ones talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, and Sean Kimmel, like, he barely touches on it.
Mm-hmm.
Barely. Like, he titled his video, like, Ahsoka continues to be the worst thing since pre-Disney Star Wars, but he spent a fractional amount of his video actually talking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, I honestly believe there are other YouTubers who could probably do it better. Like, Carolus Magnus, I love the way he
He's
approaches
much more
it.
level-headed.
Yeah, it's very level-headed. So if you haven't seen it, go check out his video.
Go watch it. It's very well
so
done.
Good. It's called How Ahsoka's Overrated. So go look it up.
We'll put it in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description.
Just to make your life that much easier, because
There
they're
you
good
go.
people.
Yes. But yeah, like, more people need to talk about this.
Yeah. Because it really need to and like, we're not necessarily saying that people have to stop liking Ahsoka. I mean, we prefer that. But it's more so we just want them to acknowledge that she's not a good character. Definitely not a good role model. And
it's almost like it boils down to, oh, this thing is perfect because I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, you can like something and still admit that it's bad. It's not gonna kill you.
There you
but
go.
like, yeah, you can't even stop at just one video, because the first series we ever did on it was the Addressing Ahsoka videos. But you can't even stop at one video, because people in the comment sections were like, but what about this? And what about this? And what about this? And what about this? You have to address every little detail, because otherwise they'll be like, well, you didn't talk about this, so your video's discredited.
Yeah. And I mean, even when we do discredit the arguments, I feel like people just ignore it.
Yeah.
And so then we make more videos harping on the points over and over and over again, because the people who are trying to argue against us harp on those points over and over and over again.
And then we get accused of, oh, shut up already, you've made your points.
No, we haven't, because you're still in the
not
comments
getting it.
saying that we haven't addressed these different facets.
Yeah.
So we have several times, but we will continue to do so until you start to get it.
And you can deal with it.
Later, peeps.
Yeet.